Welcome to the Melissa Banks Show. I'm your host, Melissa Banks, and I'm excited you decided to join us today. This show is all about celebrating the journeys of authors, entrepreneurs, and people who are boldly chasing their dreams, creating meaningful products and services, and inspiring you to do the same. Each episode will uncover the stories behind the successes, the lessons learned from the challenges, and the advice that can spark action in your own life. My goal is simple. It's to remind you that your dreams are possible and to leave you feeling inspired and empowered. So let's get started with today's show. Our guest today is author, media personality, entrepreneur, Tina Siemens. Welcome to the show, Tina.
Thank you so much for having me, Melissa. It is always a joy to be with you. I
Good.
appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. Tina, let's talk a little bit. I want to give a little bit of the beginning, right? When your family immigrated from Mexico to West Texas, what were some of the lessons from that experience that have shaped the woman you are today?
That is a great question. And for me, as an 8-year-old immigrating to West Texas, it was just such a brand new and wide open world. Literally, here in West Texas, there is just miles that you can see because it's such flat land. But for a new challenges, new things to explore and things to achieve. It was just an exciting time because we were now in America. And that was like my parents had talked about it. My dad strived really hard to get to where that could happen. And a lot of things led up to it for years. And so when it finally came, and we came over that little knoll just south of my hometown now, when dad said, "Look out, we're home." That was like, that's a statement that I'll never forget because that amplified that we are now going to make a new life and this is going to become home. But it was a mindset before we got here that we are home. And so often that is what I glean from is it's you already decide beforehand what the outcome is going to be. And so I think that was a powerful moment for my dad instilled in us children.
And you know what? It's powerful for all of us because what you said just then, the biggest thing was it was already the mindset. Nothing had happened. You hadn't seen it yet, but
Yeah,
the mindset was we are home. And you can feel the
exactly.
power in your voice when you say it even today. So thank you for sharing that. So, Tina, you are a best selling author, you're a museum owner, you're a community leader, you're a media personality. You do a lot of stuff. But looking back, was there a dream that you had for your life that you thought at one point it was impossible, but it became a reality?
Well, yes, many of those things happen in my life, but one of the big ones that I always wanted was to open a museum. And that was a 20-year dream that I had, that I'm praying one day I'll have a physical footprint of a museum. And I tried multiple different ideas and different avenues, joining other museums, just contributing to that. But at the end of 2022, I remember so clearly being on my knees and saying, "Lord, if 2023 is finally going to be the year that I can open a museum, then let me find that building." While I was in prayer, the thought, and I know it was God, saying, "You already have it." We had just moved out of a barn dominion. They're very popular in the West here. And we had moved out, and it was about 6,000 square feet. And I had designed it as living quarters with an airplane hangar attached to it. And so all of this space was just like we had moved out into our farmhouse. And that thought came to me, I just jumped up and I went to my husband and said, "What do you think about this?" And he said, "Go for it, honey." And that was like between Christmas and New Year of 2022. And by June of 23, I had the grand opening of the West Texas Living Heritage Museum.
Oh my gosh, Tina, that is so amazing. I could feel the joy. I could see it in your face. And that was just a clear example, which was really my next question, though, is is how you hold on to something, 20-year dream, and it was not happening. So many people would have given up on the dream
Yeah,
because they couldn't see what was happening. What was it
exactly.
that gave you the insight or the strength, the courage, or whatever you would want to call it, to still hold on to it 20 years later to see it come happen?
Well, it was such a desire because I love history and I love speaking about history. I love entertaining. And wherever I go, there will be some historical facts quoted by me because I just love how history correlates with the present day and how if we don't know the history, we will create and uh, stumble in the same spots that history stumbled at. So for me, history is just such an important part of my life. And for me to have that physical, on top of that, I love antiques. So I've been shopping antiques my adult life. So I had boxes here, boxes there. They were scattered throughout different storages. And I always dreamt that that would be displayed somewhere. And so with the dream of me just having that, I drew the blueprint of what my future museum was supposed to look like.
Wow.
I had a fancy building, all the offices. I mean, it was a professional drawn blueprint. I drew it and then I had an architect draw it and it was all ready. I was just waiting for the green light from my heavenly Father. Now go execute. But that green light didn't come. And that's when I had to humbly accept the prayer answer to my prayer on that December morning and saying, okay, I will start with what I got. And that to back to your question, I think so often we have these massive dreams that it has to be just so, it has to be perfect. And that perfect, we live in a fallen world. We don't achieve perfect ever. There is always room for improvement. So for me to accept that I can start at this 6,000 square barn dominion, that was living quarters, that was everything. That was a humbling experience, but oh, the reward has been so great because I did not push the can down the road of I'm going to wait till I can build this big $1 million building. It would probably never have happened. But now I'm celebrating the third anniversary at this location that I was willing to forego that beautiful blueprint that I drew up.
How amazing. What a wonderful story of inspiration. I say this all the time. We have this vision and we have
Yes.
step one, two, three, four, and five, and we can't move on one till we
Yeah.
figured out all the rest of them and see it
Amen.
happening. You
Yeah.
couldn't see it. I mean, you made that step to say, you know what? I have this. This is the yes. And that's
Hmm.
what it took. And I just hope so many people will just hear not only did you have the dream and kept believing in it, you were willing to start it when you didn't see all the stuff that was going to happen behind that. Thank you for that. That made me want to jump up and down. It really, really did. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
sharing that. If I could
Appreciate it.
reset for a moment, Tina, if you're just joining us, this is the Melissa Banks Show. Our guest today is author, media personality, entrepreneur, Tina Siemens. So, Tina, let's talk about something you just launched, which is the Heritage by Tina show. Congratulations, Tina. I am
Thank
so
you.
proud.
Thank you. Thank you.
When I see you speaking, I can remember when we first met, you were new to media, you weren't real comfortable speaking.
Yeah.
Now you have your own show.
Yes.
It's
Wow.
beautiful. Your setup is beautiful. You're doing such an amazing, amazing job. What is
Thank
it
you.
that what inspired you to do the show, and what is it that you hope the audience will walk away from?
I pray that the way the way I got to this idea of, I have beautiful friends called Melissa Banks and Cyrus Webb, and they were the ones that inspired me. You can do this as your next step. And that is what growth looks like. So for me, growing meant stepping out of my comfort zone. Like you mentioned, when we first met, I knew how to email, I knew how to WhatsApp, I knew how, but technologically, I am so challenged because I didn't grow up with technology. And so it was a one step at a time. And for me to even publicly speak on a line was just a huge step forward. And so for me to get over the fear and say it doesn't have to be perfect. And then with the new world of AI, everything looks so prestige,
Mhm.
but for me, that's not real. I had to accept that if I stumble over my words, because English isn't my first language, it is okay if I make mistakes. I thought in my head that it had to be perfect. And just like with the museum, I had to get out of my own comfort zone. And that was where the encouragement of amazing friends like you and Cyrus, you inspired me to say, yes, I can. And so for me to say yes, it is a learning curve. And will I look back 10 years when I continue doing podcasts? These first 6 episodes of American history are going to be probably, I could go back and really make some improvements. But this is a start.
Okay.
And a baby doesn't start running a marathon. It starts by crawling. It starts by taking a few steps and then walking next to a sofa or something. This is my baby steps. So I'm just grateful for the opportunity, and I can do what I love is speak about historical events.
And I just get so excited, Tina. When I see you, I feel so proud and I get so excited. Because you talk about stumbling over your words. I stumble over my words all the time. I just keep on talking. I am not a chat bot. I am a human. I'm going to
Yeah.
mess
Mhm.
up. And I had to realize that and grab onto that and just keep going. And
Yeah.
I just see you and I just feel so proud and so honored that I
Thank
even know
you.
you. So I'm excited for you. So, Tina, starting something new can be both exciting and
Yes.
intimidating at some points. What has
Yes.
this new journey taught you, though, about stepping into a new season of purpose?
It's both frightening and so rewarding. When I gather the material for a future episode and then I record it, and while I'm reading off of my notes, it's just like it kind of bounces off in my head like, is this really me, Tina Siemens? And when I listen to the recording, then yes, I now see the hours that I spent researching and reading up on these facts about America's history and my own family's history. And that's when the reward comes. Is it perfect? No, but it is something that I created with the help of my heavenly Father, that hopefully will be inspiring to others. And so I'm just so absolutely grateful for the opportunity to have Heritage by Tina be born and executed.
I am too, Tina. Okay, because Tina, let's change it up a little bit. Is we've talked about all the great success and all the wonderful things that are happening in your journey, but on this show, we also want to talk about a challenge that you may have faced because I do believe every journey has its challenges, right? So, can you share a
Absolutely.
moment or a challenge that made you question your decision, made you feel like quitting, maybe even, or maybe not believing in yourself, and how you were able to overcome that and keep going?
There have been many incidences in my life. My first book subtitle is Some People Never Give Up. There was so many incidences that led way that it would have been easy and people would have even understood had I given up, that there was reason behind it. And still today, I am facing challenges that with my personal health that I don't know what the outcome is. But because of my faith and because of friends that I can lean on to, I can persevere. And the Bible verse with Philippians 4:13 is, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That right there, if I didn't have that, my goodness, I would have given up many times. But because of that strength on a daily basis, I can move forward knowing that even though I don't see the path forward clearly, in faith, I can move forward and knowing that He has my back.
Absolutely. In faith, you just do your part and keep going. Thank you so
Mhm.
much for that. So, okay, Tina. So, when people think you have books, You have your show, you have your museum, and you talk about history all the time. You even said yourself, if I'm around, I'm going to be talking about history. What
Yes.
is it that what is the one message that you hope people will walk away from when they see any of the stuff that you're doing?
I hope that they will be inspired to not give up, to keep dreaming, because your dream matters. What you have, the experiences that you have lived through, somebody else will be encouraged by it. But if you hold it under a bushel, like the Bible says about lighting a candle, we don't put it a bucket over it. We put it on a lampstand, and that way people around can see the light. You are that light. But if you put it on a bushel or a bucket over it, your light will be extinct. And so I encourage, no matter how small you start by making a step forward. And that is when your message will matter to somebody, because somebody's out there that needs to hear your encouragement.
Oh, absolutely. Finally, Tina, history is so important to you. So why is it so important that future generations understand where they came from and the stories that shape their communities?
History is all that. Like, if you know your roots, and you don't have to be a genealogist, you don't have to be a historian, if you just look into your personal uh, immediate family, it can be great aunt and uncles, your grandparents, your parents. Just ask them, what were their experiences? How did they handle a certain situation? Because you've lived it. Even though from a small child on, you saw how your parents and your grandparents, your aunt and uncles, they lived their life a certain way. What can you glean from that? You can either take that and build on it, or you can decide for yourself to break those chains and say, enough is enough. I am changing it today in my personal life. But if you don't know that, how can you change the things you don't know? And so for you to just get with your own family tree, start right there, and then glean from the lessons that they learned, the hardships that they went through, and how they came out. Those are the important life lessons that matter in everyone's life. And if they have that, their roots are anchored and they can build on that.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Tina. Thank you for sharing with us today your enthusiasm, your excitement. We all caught that, and it is just absolutely amazing. Let our audience know how they can stay connected with you and support the things that you do.
Melissa, it's been an amazing time, and I was so looking forward to today. And thank you for having me on your show. And I would love to hear from your audience. They can get in touch with me by emailing me at Heritage by Tina, or go to my website, Heritage by Tina, and you'll see my books and all the things that are happening in West Texas.
Well, thank
Heritage
you.
by Tina.
Heritage by Tina, folks. Thank you so much, Tina. And I wish
Thank
you
you.
all the best and the success that you deserve. And thank you
Thank
to
you.
our audience for joining us for this edition of the Melissa Banks Show. I hope today's conversation with Tina Siemens reminded you that your dreams are within reach, no matter where you're starting. Until next time, I'm your host, Melissa Banks, saying your journey is unique, your dreams are valid, and you have the power to design the life you love. So keep believing, keep growing, and keep shining.